welcome to the next episode of Just Peachy. I'm Peachie Thompson, and I'm your host. Just Peachy is a show where we interview leaders and subject matter experts in the fields of insurance, finance, and taxes. We do have a lifestyle section where we talk about everything and anything under the sun. Today's speaker, I am so excited to introduce to you a trailblazer in the financial services industry, specifically in the financial planning side, who is the catalyst for a super awesome program for aspiring financial planners. She is the founder and mom in chief of Amplified Financial Planning. Please welcome Miss Hannah Moore. Hannah, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I know that you're very busy. FPA externship is going on right now, so I am so grateful that you found some time to chat with us today. So, without further ado, I said FPA externship. We're going to talk about that. But first and foremost, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you work with your husband in your firm. You're obviously mom in chief, so tell us about that.
Yes, so I work with my husband, Charlie. I am a financial planner by training. I have two little girls, and we are pregnant with our third right now. So we'll have another one joining us by the end of the year. So yeah, so excited about that, kind of figuring out how to balance the work and life and all these things, and just realizing what a great career financial planning is. So yeah, so I'm a financial planning practitioner. I have my own practice, and then we do a lot of education and training for financial planners, because there's just not enough training on how to actually be a financial planner and what this career looks like.
Oh, yes. First and foremost, congratulations. Super awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Third one coming. And what the work that you do for the financial planning world is really amazing and much needed. One of the things that I remember having gone through the process, the externship myself, is this. You sent me this.
My budgeting blocks. Yes.
Your budgeting block. So before I want you to talk about this, please, but please
Yes.
tell us what the virtual externship is. What does it stand for? How did you come up with it? And what does it do?
Yeah. So the virtual externship it was a response for COVID. So in 2020, we started hearing from students who were losing their internships. And so we said, okay, I wonder if we could help. And so my husband, who works with me, has a film and digital media background as well as an education background. He's built curriculums, that type of thing in a past career. And so we interviewed some students. I was trying to figure out what is it that they want from an internship. And so we quickly realized we'll never be able to replace the in-person, but just about everything else, we realized that we could do that and at scale, do that better and at scale. And so we kind of had this crazy idea and went for it. And so the externship it's an internship-like experience, but it's going to give you an idea of what a career in financial planning is like. And not just one career, right, that you get in an internship. We bring in over 60 different financial planners. You're going to see different types of practices that you can work in. You're going to see different types of clients that you can serve. You're going to see, like, what are the different models? What are the different career options that you have to really figure out if this is a career that you want to be in. One of the dangers is that people get in a career and they think that they can only do what they see right in front of them. And we really want to show, like, there's so many possibilities. If you care about financial literacy, about financial education, about helping people with their finances, there is a job for you in financial planning. You just gotta kind of find out where it is and what's the right career path for you.
Right. So I love it. So tell me, in your experience, Hannah, what is the reason people career change into financial planning?
Yeah, we get so many career changers in the externship program. For career, it's everywhere, right? And we're in the great resignation right now of people
Yes.
leaving their jobs, getting burned out, and financial planners do face some of that themselves. But people are looking for meaning. They're looking for a job that they can come in and do work and leave feeling like they've had a positive impact, not just on the bottom line of a company, but like actually in a real family's life. And when we look at financial planning and just the power and impact of financial planning, like I can't believe people pay me to do my job, where I get to have just this massive impact in people's lives and help them realize that like all these things they didn't think were possible actually can be possible. And let me show you the way to get there. And like that is just like, it's one of the most rewarding and fulfilling careers that you can have. So we're finding a lot of people who are very successful in whatever their original career was, from all different careers. They're looking for something meaningful. They've usually had just kind of an interest in personal finance and their own personal finance. They're seeing. There was one woman I talked to recently. When the pandemic hit, she went and talked to her friends and family because she's like, I'm worried about my job. She didn't know a thing about personal finance and realized nobody knew in her community. And so she wanted to go be the person to do that. And then financial planning, I mean, it's like a top 10 job repeatedly on all the lists of careers people just love. I told you I have 2 little girls and another baby on the way, and we have we've been able to incorporate our life into my work. My husband works with me. We have a nursery at our office. I'm taking tomorrow off, to spend the whole day with my girls because, we don't have childcare. And it's just such an amazing career opportunity, the flexibility, the meaningful work. And then if you want to be an entrepreneur, there is certainly pathways for that, as well as if you want to be an employee. So I think it just speaks to a lot of like the unrest and the unhappiness that we're seeing in our society. And it gives a solution for that, of really being able to have impact.
Yes, well, definitely. Those are very, very good points for wanting to be a financial planner, and a lot of reasons that someone may want to change your career midway, right? I have a question about specifically what you're doing for the externship, right? So we're going to talk about what's the reason people want to start a career in financial planning. You kind of touched base about that, so we'll revisit that a little bit. But I really want you to talk about this budgeting blocks, because I know there's a story behind this. When I got it in the mail, because I went through the program, right? And it's an amazing program. I really recommend it to anyone, whether you're just new in the industry or just wanting to change into financial planning. But I got this. Hannah sent me this budgeting blocks. If you're listening to this podcast, you're not seeing it. But if you're on the YouTube channel, you're seeing him holding this green box with what looks like my child's Lego, right? So when my daughter saw this, she was like, "What is that? Is that for me?" I said, "No, baby, that's not for you." But so tell me about this.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I'm a big believer that financial planning is really wherever money intersects with your life. And when I look at, where is that for most people? It's in their budgeting. That's what you see day to day. It's how are you spending your money day to day? And a lot of financial planning is just focusing on the investments, the excess. But I think financial planning should be focused on this piece too. And so for a lot of my career, I was just doing spreadsheets. And disclaimer, I love spreadsheets, so nothing wrong with that at all.
Everybody loves spreadsheets.
Right? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah.
So I realized quickly that my clients weren't resonating with that. It wasn't impacting change. It wasn't working. And so I stopped doing it. And so I got this couple who wanted to work with me. They heard me talk about budgeting on a local radio show. And they were like, okay, yes, we need help. They're 2 high income earners earning over $400,000 a year, had no idea where their money was going, right? A study recently came out. It was like 25% of people making more than like $250,000 are living paycheck to paycheck. And so that's where this couple found themselves. And they're like, we don't know what we're doing. And they had 4 children. So there's lots of expenses kind of in that. And I was like, you know what? It's time. I need to figure out, how am I going to explain budgeting to them? How am I going to be able to help them understand? Because they're not dumb at all. They're brilliant actually in their field. Yeah. But how do we actually tie their money to something meaningful? So I had talked to a financial psychologist many years ago who told me, anything you can tell, you can show. And it bugs me. It's still to this day, it just rolls around in my head. And I was like, I have been telling my clients how to budget their money. I haven't been showing them. what their money looks like. And so what I did, I went to an education store. I don't think I have it here. It was multicolored with the clients. And so they are just blocks. It's a different way of looking at your money. So we would take that, these there's like green blocks here. They're like the math manipulatives that students use in school. So every block had a dollar value. So we put them out on the table of saying, here's what your income is. And so they could just visually see it. They're not adding up. They're not trying to understand what $267 looks like. They know that that's 10 blocks, or whatever the number was.
Yes.
And so then we moved it out based on how they actually spent their money. And so we have these little golden blocks to show where they were, overspending, so they could immediately visually see it and say, oh, we're overspending here. And so what happened in this meeting, they were incredibly engaged, like standing up, moving things around the table. And I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, I thought this could have been a bust, And anyway, so they're looking at this, and the wife is looking at all of this, and they have their mortgage with their housing costs, and they have like their car loans, their student loans, some credit card debt, different things that they had. The wife ends up grabbing her mortgage and said, put it next to all the other debt, and just said, oh my God, is that how much money we're spending every month on debt payments? And I was like, yeah. And she just said, oh my God, we have to change that. Now, they saw the numbers. They came in with their budget sheet of telling me how they spent the money, but it didn't connect, right? Because how people think about money, how they engage with their money, it's not in a spreadsheet. That's very unnatural for most people to think that way. And so for them, they were able to actually see that connection, and it clicked for them. And that was it's really really good awareness tool around their budgeting. So I started doing it with more clients, of doing these blogs. We do a values exercise first of what's most important to you in your life. We see where your money has gone in the different places. And then we say, okay, where are you excited about spending money? Like, where are you glad that you're spending money in these categories? Let them kind of reflect on that. Like, this budgeting shouldn't just be painful or boring or like just always causing fights. Like, and it should be celebrating the things that make us happy, right?
Right.
Like, there are categories that I spend more money on my budget than probably I should, but it brings me so much joy to do that. And so like, that's what really matters. And so that's really, when I look at this, like really trying to reframe it, trying to rethink, help make budgeting fun again.
Yes. And actually these things, right, I could picture the couple that you spoke of. Like, so when you go, okay, here's your money, here's your income, and here's your debt, right? Your payments. And if you see this, all this goes to the mortgage, and this goes to whatever, right? Your loans, and then you add whatever that, let's say that's your mortgage. This is your stuff. And that's your income. Now we got big problems, right?
Well, you can see it differently, right?
Yes,
so like you're looking at like, so we have little table tents that we share with, like, that we give them. And so on one side you write your current budget, like where have your current spending, because it's not really a budget. And then we ask them to rearrange the money on the table, the blocks on the table.
Right.
And it's so much easier to rearrange a stack of blocks than it is to try to be like, okay, so I'm going to take $215 out of this,
right,
put it over here and do this, And so it's just it's like it shortcuts in our brain what we're trying to do with money. And so this is where financial planning has so much opportunity of like all of these big financial concepts. How can we break it down? How can we reimagine how we do financial planning? And that stuff gets me so excited. And that's, again, another reason why I'm such a big believer for career changers, students, anybody coming into financial planning. There is so much room for innovation and to have your impact in this way that can impact so many people's lives in a positive way.
You hit the nail on the head there, Hannah. And that's why I brought this up, because this was one of my favorite things. I looked at it and I'm thinking, wow, okay, I've never seen that before. And just explain it in that context and give a visual to the client and anyone in the room really looking at it. It's very easy. It's very relatable. You don't have to be a math person. You don't have to be analyzing everything. You just see it. Right? So
you just see it.
Yes. And for those of you listening, this is, I think, an episode that you may want to go on YouTube, because you'll see what we're waving on the screen, what I'm showing on the screen, what Hannah has on her screen. But so very cool. And you mentioned one thing, the values. You talk about the values. You have a values meeting. That was one of my favorite things when I was going through the externship, was that I think people have this idea of a financial planner, such as, okay, we're just going to talk about my money, my budget and stuff. There's really not there's not a thought given to, you're almost going to be like, for lack of a better term, not a psychologist, but someone who's going to guide them through their values as they share it with you in context, put that in money context, right? Lifestyle and how that affects your finances and so on and so forth. So that was very important during the externship.
Yeah.
What is the feedback that you're getting? Are you seeing that a lot of people are saying, aha, I didn't know, that's something that I need to even consider. So if I'm only a very analytical person, but I can't shine in that side, the people side, I call it the people side, not just spreadsheets, but the people themselves.
Yeah, early in my career, I started working in a place that was really investment focused. Like they say they did planning, and they kind of did, but it was really about investment returns. It was really about how do we maximize your dollars, right? And so I ended up taking over, and with the clients, I started doing financial planning, of really taking them through this financial planning process and really bringing in these values, really bringing in this, like, what's important to you. It's not enough to sugar more money. I'll tell you, I see it all the time. I've had a client who had 8 figures, so over $10 million of net worth, liquid net worth. They had home and property, so it's probably much more. It was more than that. And I remember her coming in one day and saying, I know I don't have that much, but do you think I have enough? And it just struck me, because I realized that no matter how much money we have, it's all about how much is enough for us. I have clients right now who are living just on their Social Security check, and they are as happy as can be. I have other clients who have millions of dollars and are struggling with happiness because they're just striving to get more money, more money, more money. This is about
Right.
figuring out, why do we have the money? It's figuring out the meaning. It's, what do we want for our families? Well, who do we want to be known for? What's most important to us? I'll tell you, the things that have meaning for me may not be the things that have meaning for you. And that is exactly how it should be, right? And so it's all about figuring out what's important to you, what's going to bring meaning and fulfillment, and getting your money to align with that, helping make sure that you have options. Because if we're just striving, money is the easiest measuring stick, right?
Right.
It's the easiest way of saying, I'm 65, I'm turning it in, I'm gonna go retire tomorrow, and I have $3 million saved up. Haven't I done well in my life? Perhaps, but is that the measure of success that we want to have? And I would argue that no, it's not. I have 2 little girls and another one on the way. The fact that I'm taking tomorrow off instead of trying to maximize my dollars in my practice, that's a measure stick for me of, like, are my daughters going to grow up in the way that I want them to grow up? Am I going to be able to have time and experiences with them? Am I going to be able to help my family? Am I going to prioritize the relationships around me? For me, I look at, like, creativity as one of I have my values on my screen. I was just looking at there. For me, creativity is a big one. If I'm not able to be creative in my work, if I'm not able to create the budgeting
Yes.
box, if I'm not able to do something new, work sucks the life out of me. I could be super productive. I could go run a multi-million-dollar firm. I'm convinced of it. But if I can't play, if I can't be creative, it's meaningless for me. And I'm going to get to age 65 and I'm going to be tired and exhausted.
Empty.
And empty. And my girls aren't going to get the best of me. My husband's not going to get the best of me. And so it's this whole thing of these values. Where does money sync up with that? And I think old school kind of investment advice, financial advice has always been, how are we going to maximize your dollars? How are we going to get the most amount of money? How are we going to get you to where you have $1 million or $10 million or whatever that number is? And my day job is helping people maximize their money. So like
Sure.
zero issue with that.
Yes.
But if we don't address the values, if we don't say, why is this important to us and how much is enough, you're not going to be happy. It's not going to be fulfilled. You're not going to be fulfilled. There's always going to be something missing. You're always going to be striving for that next thing. And I'll tell you, it's the common thing I've seen with my clients over and over again, regardless of how much money they have. My clients who know how much is enough, which I think is tied to your values, they know how much of it is enough. They're the happiest people. They're the happiest clients.
Yeah.
It's a night and day difference.
to add to that, Hannah, and I'm sure you've heard of it, right? There, and I believe there's just a, you're above the poverty level, right? So you're right
Yep.
here. As long
Yes.
as you go
Yep.
above that, anything else is, in my opinion, gravy, right? Because it's not gonna be like someone with $10 million versus someone with $150,000. If $150,000 gets them above poverty level, they have their basic needs taken care of, house, food, some basic stuff, right? It's not going to increase their happiness 10 million times. And to your
Yep.
point, if they have spent so much time being at work and that's not what their values is centered around, then you have forgotten about that your family, your
Yeah.
kids, or being creative or doing a hobby and so on and so forth. So I love the approach, and I love how the externship is also teaching that because I did learn
Yeah.
that from that part of the curriculum, right? So speaking of externship, we have graduates
Yes.
listening. So I have
Yes.
a lot of UNF seniors listen to us
Yep.
because I teach. I'm always a guest speaker at UNF, and we talk about insurance because that's my thing.
Yep.
So, if you were talking to them, can fresh graduates join the externship?
Oh,
Would you suggest it?
absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, 100%. It's going to give you such a wide perspective of what's available in financial planning firms. So we're sending my paraplanner through the externship. So I mean, I'm obviously seeing the externship now, and she's seeing it too.
Yes.
But it's going to give you. It's going to number one. It's going to help you know what you want to do. The thing that I'm always not worried about, but a lot I hear this story over and over again is people get their first job, they think it's a great one, and they realize, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for. So you're going to be able to see kind of what are your different career paths. So you're going to see that, number one. Number two, you're going to be able to offer immediate value to your firm by going through the externship. So they're going to say, here's what we do on investments, and you're going to say, hey, I've actually seen 3 other financial planners and how they do this investment planning. And have you guys ever considered doing this? Let me show you what I'm talking about. You're able to immediately offer value to your employer by offering new ideas and a fresh set of perspectives. It's also going to help you. There's just a lot of vernacular that we have in financial planning. You're going to be able to understand what some of those terms are. You're going to get a lot more comfortable with some of those. We had week 1 was this week in the externship. And even now, like I can tell you, like, we were doing our interviews with our experts. By the time we get to week 8, the questions are going to be different because they know and understand more things now. And so that's what's really cool is it's really helping to shorten that learning curve. So it will absolutely be time well spent. We try to make it really fun. Like, I love this stuff. So we try to make it fun and engaging, and you're going to get to meet other people. You're going to get to meet people in your hopefully your local community, your local chapter. I know, Peachy, you're going to be joining us for some of that as well. But you get to really meet people. So I highly recommend it, and it just gives you another data point. It's an investment into your career, it's an investment into your career, and I can't even tell you how much I wish I had this when I first started. It would have made a world of difference for me.
Oh, yeah, totally. So speaking of which, so someone is thinking, okay, I want to be a financial planner. I'm going to go to the externship.
Yep.
What other stuff should they be thinking about?
Yeah, so when we think about getting into financial planning, so there's a couple different routes that you can take. So one, I think the most popular one now is getting your CFP designation, so Certified Financial Planner. And so if you want to go down that pathway, there's an education requirement. So you have to have a bachelor's degree, and there's like 6 courses that you have to take. So we find a lot of people are having to go back and take some of those courses. So there's an education, there's an experience element, which the externship helps give you hours towards that experience element. You have to take the CFP exam, and then there's an ethics requirement. So it's the 4 E's, if you will. For the CFP designation. You can also go on the pathway of, I have a paraplanner right now who's not licensed at all. She doesn't have her CFP designation. So you can just get in a job. If you want to move up, though, in the career path, you're going to need at least licenses. So these are state licenses. So those will be the most common ones are like your Series 65 or Series 7, kind of depending on your business structure that you're walking into. Different business structures have different regulatory requirements before you can give any advice. So like you can't give advice to clients. So that's kind of like that threshold. You have to be licensed or have your It's state by state. In Texas, you don't have to have a series license if you have your CFP. Like CFP replaces that, but some states don't have that. So it just depends state by state, kind of what the requirements are on that.
Those are very helpful. Are there other resources that's out there for an aspiring planner, besides, of course, the
Yeah.
externship and being a member of FPA?
Yeah. So being a member of FPA is a big one, because you get access to your local community. And that's really the place where jobs are. If you go there, one of my favorite tips, I've had people who were like, we have job offers. Like, I don't know which one to go to. I'm like, go to your FPA, go talk to the next gen group, and you'll hear the reputation of those firms real fast if you
That's
ask.
right.
So that's a great resource. It's a great way to network and connect with people. So there's other resources. If you're on Facebook, there's FPA Activate, which is again a community that you can just see. You can be a lurker and just listen to the conversations. There's that. We have started a new program called Amplified Planning. So amplifiedplanning.com, where every month we're showing you a real client meeting. So we're showing you a new client meeting where you get to see what it really is like working with a client. I watch the videos back, provide commentary on it, and then you can do the experience elements of it too. So if you're looking for experience hours, we have you write the meeting notes, so you guys get practice at that. We have you guys work basically as if you're my associate planner, and getting that experience online. So we'll have you do something where you're either doing you're creating the deliverables that I used in the meeting. You're doing the research that I would need my associate planner to do. You're doing, whatever those things are. We're really making it as practical as we can. And then we also do a client document walkthrough every meeting, where we are saying, okay, here's what the client documents are. Let's get in, how do I look at that as a financial planner? And so pulling that information together. So again, we are so invested if you want to be a financial planner, we are so invested in your success, because we need so many more good financial planners out here helping people, because the need is so great.
How cool
And the
is
impact
that?
is so big too. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so I love that now you have this resource that walks them through from basically it is from start to finish, right? You have the
Yep.
financial element that you talked about. I know, I recall there's a piece there that you teach the very basic how to read a statement, right?
Yep.
So how to pretty much dissect it, right?
Yeah, one of the things we realized that if you wanted a career in financial planning, kind of the old school way was you had to know it existed, which can be a hurdle. And then two, you're having to spend years of your life and often tens of thousands of dollars to get the education before you could even get your foot in at a door. And we thought that was crazy. And so we're trying to flip this model on its head and say, you know what, if you're interested in financial planning as a career, join the externship at a very low dollar amount. You want to see what a client meeting is to see if it's something you'd actually enjoy? $30 a month. Come watch my client meeting and see. And if $30 is too much for you, email me and I'll give it to you. Because we care so much about helping people know this is a career, and then see the impact that they can have on this.
Yes, I love it. And we can chat so much. There's so many other things that I want to ask, but I am very respectful of your time.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers and listeners about your personal, because you are also a practicing financial planner, as well as you spearhead this programs for aspiring financial planners?
No, well, I would say, we have our practice here, and I always say it, my clients are my greatest teachers. I just love it. Love what we do here so much. And so, yeah, if you're interested, you can follow along. If you're interested in career and financial planning, go to amplifiedplanning.com. You can go there. You can also go to my practice site at Guiding Wealth. And then we are also, if you're, the budgeting box, if you're like, hey, that sounds interesting for me, for myself, you can go to livewealthynow.com. And that is where we kind of have those resources more for just the general public. Maybe they're not necessarily my clients, but just the general public. So
yes. So livewealthy.com. I did not know
or
that.
livewealthynow.com.
Livewealthynow.com. I'm going to have to check it out after this. So Hannah, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate, and I'm sure I speak for many people who has gone through the externship, and say thank you for what you've created. It really makes it very succinct for someone who doesn't have any background in financial planning to get a peek on what the process is, what to expect, how to be with clients. And there's so many other tools there that really, e-money was there. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
We loaded up. Yep.
Yeah. So and it is a lot of fun to network with other people. So I think that's a big part of it. So I thank you so much, and I look forward to the next time we chat.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Peachie.
All right. Bye, Hannah.
Bye.
Information shared during the show are opinions of the speakers. They are not legal, financial, or tax advice specific to you. Consult your own specialist, attorney, accountant, financial planner, or insurance advisor for your specific situation.